Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Leo December 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant. And I must say that I have done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for wonderful Leo people over FaceTime and Skype from different parts of the world over the last month. And if you might be interested to see what's involved, just check out the information that's in the description. But now we're going to take 5 cards from this deck called the Thoth Tarot deck. Thoth is the Egyptian god of wisdom. Now, the paintings were by a, what's this first one? The Prince of Discs. The paintings were by a woman called Frida Harris, known as Lady Frida Harris. She was married to, this is in the 1900s, early 1900s, she was married to a politician who was elevated to the House of Lords, and there is the Ten of Cups, and became Lord Harris, and she thereby became Lady Harris, so Lady Frida Harris. Now, she did the artwork, which is spectacular and very, very esoteric, almost occult, really, which means hidden. And so that explains why most people are, I would say, reticent to use the deck, because they are, well, without wanting to paint a bad picture on it at all, because I think all readers are good in their own way, that they don't understand the occult imagery that's in it. But you and I are going to find out some. So occult means hidden. And so the cards here, that was the universe, will no longer be hidden, at least with respect to these 5 cards for you. But check out your Queen of Cups. Check out your sun and your moon and your rising as well, and you'll see the other cards that are there. But now, why don't you come and sit with me? We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading for you. Okay, let's start with this Prince of Discs. Some interesting imagery here. We'll just have a brief look at some of it. Now, these guys normally are seen with crowns. Here on the top of his crown, there is the bull's head crest, which speaks of Taurus. And so there's a lot of Taurian energy around here, and I think also Gemini is something that's going to be important to you. Taurus is responsible for his material, earthy, down-to-earth and practical attributes. Now, the black chariot, that is the color of earth. Now, bear that in mind when we come to this card later. So this is the color of the material plane, that is of day-to-day affairs, of life in time and space. Now, this large orb, which is in his left hand here, that is a symbol of the sun and its role in agriculture. He holds it as if to show he has dominion over this process. And actually, you might be able to make out inside of there a cross, a cube, and 3 circles representing the planning process of his work in agriculture. The orbed scepter, which is in his hand here, that is surmounted by a cross. This is the symbol of the great work, which is the ascent of the soul back to God. The connection here is that food and diet are important in feeding the body, which houses the soul. So all are connected. And he has something of a meditative pose. This goes in hand with the planning implied by the geometries which are associated in there. Now, there's background tapestry there. It consists of flowers and fruit, I suppose. The earth and air, the 2 elements that make up the prince. The prince is air and discs is earth. So I think that this prince represents for you at the moment the process of blooming and pollination, symbolized by the many different flowers behind him. Now, he sits in that solidly built chariot, pulled by a powerful bull. The bull, the symbol, as I say, is repeated on his helmet, and the fruit surrounding him indicates the richness of the harvest, which will follow fertilization and growth. Now, the bull draws the chariot with unfailing will. Nothing will stop him. Nothing can break his determination to reach the goal. It is particularly in the most important and serious situations that he proves again and again that he is unshakable and possesses prudence and perseverance. Now, you'll also notice that the prince himself is both naked and unprotected. Well, his openness, combined with the qualities of the bull, make him a trustworthy person in his dealings with others. And he's also quite meditative. In his creative interaction with the earth, he comes to a deep understanding of the meaning of life. So I think that this is a time when you are going to be taking responsibility for your life and becoming more focused on things that are important to you in a material sense, health, career, things that are tangible to you. You might be putting a lot of effort into practical things at the moment. You'll be interested in design and building things. Now, this can extend to fashion and makeup, all that sort of things, or beautifying things around the house. But definitely for you now, this is a time to take action, because if you do so, important experiences will result. What activities do you enjoy? What activities would you like to help you towards self-realization? Well, find a creative activity in which you find joy and fulfillment, and say this to yourself: I am finding the work that fulfills and satisfies me. Now, there was another court card around somewhere, I think. Let's go to the other diagonal down here, which is this one, the Queen of Cups. What does she have to say to you? What do you have to say to my friend here, my darling? Well, looking at the imagery on it, you can see this rather large supermoon in a way that rises above and behind the Queen. And the curves of the moonlight, they act as a veil for her. In fact, can you just make out her head? It's there. There's her head. It acts as a veil for her. This shell, which is in her left hand there, that is a receptive vessel for the water, for the emotions, and the fish standing on its tail inside of that shell, that makes the sign of a Neptune's fork. Now, Neptune is a planet which is associated with inspiration and with delusion. Neptune, of course, was the god of the seas. Neptune is also thought to rule the pineal gland, which is associated with third eye activation, and water is symbolic of deeper emotions and dreams. And so the Queen of Cups takes on some of the qualities of the planet of Neptune, dreams, intuition, maybe a psychic awareness with you at this time, invention, perception, an interest in the occult, imagination, mysticism, emotional. Now, there is a double reflection in the pond here, so we see this reflection of herself in the pond, so she can accurately express outwardly her inner realizations. In fact, she is a channel for intuition, as I think you will be as well. And the lake or body of water here is calm. And so she is calm and self-assured. She doesn't need to assert herself aggressively. Now, there's white lotus that is in her hand that's there. That has 9 petals, and that symbolizes for me a mystical association with the moon as well. And the 2 white lotuses that are in the pond here, well, they have an association with Gemini, and she has a rulership over Gemini, I think. The ibis itself, which is standing on there, look, this is the old Egyptian god of Thoth, of wisdom and the written word and the intellect. And since she has her hand on top of this bird, she is in control of what it represents. So she does not regard her intellect as a means of expressing herself. Instead, she controls it and works through her intuition. So the great astrological associations of this energy here for me are Gemini and also Cancer itself. And generally, though, her characteristics will depend mostly on the environment that she's in. She's going to be subject to the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, for good or for bad. This is a person who is very intuitive at this time, an observer, quite dreamy and tranquil, poetic, kind, and as I say, mainly someone who could have some sort of sense of psychic awareness to herself. Now, she is enclosed in light beams, so you can only see her if you look closely. Her being cannot be understood intellectually. You must feel and sense it. She is shrouded in mystery, and if you wish to comprehend this mystery, you'll have to go deeply into the realm of sensitivity and feeling. Now, as I said, this calm sea, that mirrors her image almost perfectly. What she radiates outwardly is reflected in, or is a reflection of, the deepest emotional reaches of her being. She is in contact with her feelings and shows them openly and authentically. Now, the people around her may not always understand her, but that is not a problem for her. She will not compromise emotionally, for in order to do so, she would have to deny herself, and might lose the glow of her beauty in doing so. Now, the white lotus blossoms on the lake and in her hand symbolize love of a giving nature. Now, the lotus roots, they sort of come out of the lake and out of the mud and the depths of the water, but the leaves and petals of the lotus remain untouched by the mud and water. Water rolls off the petals or rests on them as beads of water. They remain connected to the water and to the mud, growing from them, but are different and separate. Blossoming love, too, grows from unconscious realms of instinct and drive, and is fed by it. The light of consciousness causes unconscious energies to arise in a new form with you. The old will appear in a new light. It will become transfigured, and emotional rebirth is going to take place. Now, this ibis, the messenger of the returning spring, is harbinger of the new. This card can be seen as having some connection with motherhood, but also with fatherhood, because there is no gender the genders aren't set in stone in court cards here. So by showing your feelings openly, you will become beautiful. Now, there may be people who don't understand you, so don't concern yourself about it. There are enough others with whom you can share your feelings. Are you open to your emotions and feelings? Trust your feelings and live in harmony with them. And say to yourself, my openness and vitality makes me beautiful. I want to have a look at that card that's above it, which is the 10 of Cups. Now, what does a developer say this card is, and what can I get from it? Well, there's a little tiny sigil for Mars. Down the bottom in here, you may not be able to make it out, it's in a sort of a violet color. There's Pisces, so we have Mars in Pisces. And with the energy that I'm getting, it's the third or mutable change of Pisces, about to move into the new season, about to move into Aries. So we're attached to that period, well, the third decan, which is the 9th to 19th of March. And what we can see from here is that there is, first of all, the great redness of Mars everywhere. Now, Mars also rules Aries, and we have Aries, ram's heads for Aries here. There is a depiction of the tree of life, which is in here, but I won't go into that now because we don't have time. This flower on the top is also red, the color of Mars, and the water drips, pours down into each of the cups, and finally overflows through into the next suit, which will be the suit of discs. Now, the 10 cups are arranged in the form of the tree of life. Everything in its own place and in the harmonious order. This is an image here, I think, of deep fulfillment. The oversized lotus blossom at the crown of the tree testifies to the wealth of love received, which now overflows and pours into all who take part of it, and that's you in particular. And everyone, including you, who is prepared to receive, takes part in this rich river of love. Now, the handles of the cups are made of ram's horns. The transformation is complete because they are gold-colored and can now combine with the energy of Mars. Mars in the constellation of Pisces. Pisces, of course, is very spiritual. Well, it expresses itself not by being crude, injurious, or unruly in this situation, but by providing the apparently fragile being with the decisiveness needed to bring forth into the outer world the beauty which it holds deep within. Now, this doesn't require any dramatic demonstrations of emotion. A person simply radiates this quality and is recognized by the fruits that she or he bears. So this is giving me the sense for you now that you should just, as this is doing just perfectly here, let things develop by themselves, because everything comes to you at the right moment. And there's a fullness here, satiety. Well, that means fullness. What does that mean for you in this situation of emotion? Relax, close your eyes and breathe deeply and calmly. Let a picture arise in you which shows you in a state of complete fulfillment. Repeat this exercise often and connect this feeling more and more with your reality. There's a great degree of emotional passion and vitality here. And say this to yourself: life gives me all that I need to be happy. Well, where shall we go to next, I think, which is, look at the universe. Only because I like the energy from it, and it's asking to be read. So, the universe, well, here we see a maiden, and she indicates really freedom, doesn't she, rather than restriction. Now, there is a Hebrew letter here, I've noticed, and that letter is Tau. And Tau means cross. And there is a central cross formed by her legs, and they are directed to the 4 cherubim that are in the corners of the card. Actually, there's a book of the Hebrew Bible or the Old Testament called the Book of Ezekiel, and in chapter 1, verse 10, he speaks of seeing a vision, had a religious experience, and a being came out that had a head that had 4 faces on it. And the faces it had on it were the face of a man, the face of a lion, the face of a bull, and the face of an eagle. And they, of course, stand for the fixed sign of air, Aquarius, the fixed sign of fire, Leo, the fixed sign of earth, Taurus, and the fixed sign of water, being Scorpio. Now, there is also in here a square of light that you can see which radiates from her. I think that square represents matter and the light inside her, her enlightenment and freedom from matter. Her world has become filled with the light of God. So she is impregnated and becomes the mother. She is the color gold, while, as I mentioned before, in relation to this card here, the earth is normally black. She is gold. And so she has become illuminated by the light of the sun that comes from her, I suppose. Now, that also has an association with me mystically of Christ consciousness, of Vishnu consciousness, and Krishna consciousness. Now, this serpent, which basically comes from this eye, it's almost like it's ejaculated from this eye, this serpent. It has light and dark collars, and this reflects the duality of matter. blind force of creation that can be used as good or bad. And it crosses the maiden around her second chakra, which governs the sexual organs, and thus is related to the Kundalini. Yeah, and as I say, it does represent sperm ejaculated from the eye. And so this is the seed of creation and our bondage in matter, which she has conquered. Now she has her foot on the serpent's head, as you can see there, and that implies that she has conquered the universe and walked the spiritual path and is now free from the bondage of matter. She is the redeemer of Eve, who was known to have been tempted by the serpent, which on one reading of the myth led to the fall of man. Now the 10 rays that emanate from this, sorry about that one, I just give myself concussion. The 10 rays which emanate from that eye, well, they are the colours of the rainbow. And, well, I think that probably not much more needs to be said about that. They're hard to make out. What I will say, though, is that this is the last card of the Major Arcana. It closes the circle which began with the Fool. The great task has been brought to completion and returns to the innocence and simplicity of the Fool. The drop disappears into the ocean, and the ocean pours into the drop. This completion is, at the same time, a new beginning on a higher level of being. The final goal is reached, the return to the original cosmic oneness. Now you see yourself and the world as it really is. All garments and masks have become superfluous and useless because you are at one with your original nature. You are whirling, caught up in the perpetual dancing motion of the universe. The boundaries between your small I dissolve in orgasmic union with the universe. Well, this nude woman dances the dance of liberation through the eye. Maybe it's the eye of Horus. She has seen into the nature of limitations, and with this insight, symbolized by the sickle that she still holds in her hand, that black object there. Let me just bring it in so you might be able to see it. See, that's what I'm talking about, that thing there. Well, she cuts through the web of ensnarement. Even the gigantic serpent of transformation it's lost its function now. The energy has been transformed and a new quality exists. The serpent has outlived its usefulness. There is nothing left which its poisonous bite could destroy. So it's now possible, I think, for you to see things as they really are. The stage is set for a new beginning or a favourable completion. The events in your life are in harmony with nature. You'll be gifted at being someone who can finish things and start things at the same time. You'll complete the old and initiate the new. And you can bring change into strongly structured environments. You might be quite ecologically minded, and you'll have a desire to experience as much of the world and its people as possible. I think that you should ask yourself that from what aspects of your life is it time to free yourself? Is there a journey or an enterprise waiting for you to set in motion? Trust your perceptions. Make a list of all unfinished situations whose resolution would give you a sense of relief. And say this to yourself: I love to travel. I love to explore the unknown. I am excited about bringing ideas and creative projects into form. I deeply value making a contribution to those around me. I am at one with the universe. Now let's quickly have a look at this final card here, which talks to you. The title is Success. The imagery might give us something here. There's a central rose here, which is 7 times 7. 49, 7, 7. 7, of course, is the divine number. Now, the planets are arranged around this circle, if you like, in the ordinary sense. There is Saturn, which brings success through discipline and working step by step. Jupiter, by being open and flexible to new opportunities. Venus, success comes through following what is in your heart and what has meaning for you. Mercury, success comes through good communication with self and others. The Moon is about success through nurturing yourself and staying true to what you believe in. And Mars, putting energy consistently into the right energy of your life. And the 3 circles in the background, they speak of the established earth and harmony and success in your material life. Now, this speaks to me of material success for you in your life, but not as a continuum, a success here, one here, one here, one here, one there. But there's the beginnings of financial prosperity. There may well be the opportunity to become involved in a profitable adventure. And it's a reminder for you to remember the successes in your life and to build on those. Certainly there is a desire for success with you. And of course, the advice is to be willing to take risk, managed risk, to be committed, to trust your intuition. Be open to your success. It is no less than a gift you can learn to accept thankfully and humbly. Real success only comes once you have learned to serve, and success under these conditions enriches all levels of your being. What does success mean for you at the moment? Visualize as precisely as possible what your success looks like and focus on it each night before you go to sleep. And say this to yourself: my self-acceptance and self-confidence, they are the keys to real success. Well, what a fascinating spread of cards for you. Good job, you.
Well, I'm sure you'll agree with me that this is a very, very interesting deck, isn't it? The Thoth deck, and it provides an unusual sort of a reading, different to the types that you might see before. Certainly the imagery is unlike anything that you see in other decks. But anyway, next time, of course, we will be using another deck because I do change them each month, as you know. So, until I see you again, remember one thing, and one thing is this, and it is that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.